You've been probably told that dementia, and the most common form of it, called Alzheimer's disease, is inevitable. It's normal to lose our cognitive abilities with age. It's normal to start forgetting simple things when we're older. You'll often hear that we don't know what causes dementia and that we cannot prevent dementia, which is not quite true. In this video, I'm going to share some facts about dementia, ways you and your loved ones can prevent dementia or greatly improve it in cases where you already have cognitive impairment or dementia. I'll share some findings from scientific literature that looked at dementia or Alzheimer's disease prevention, and I'm going to show you that dementia can be prevented through lifestyle. And the first step in preventing dementia is changing our definition of what is a healthy, balanced diet. I see this over and over again. Stories like this one. My father's diet was perfect. He was very healthy, and he ended up getting dementia, meaning that diet is not related to dementia. Well, let's look at this from another perspective. If we don't correctly define what is a healthy diet, we will get into trouble in the long run. You might see eating high amounts of carbohydrates, such as bread, pasta, potatoes, and rice, as a healthy, balanced diet. I see this way of eating as a recipe for creating cognitive decline and neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's disease. Dementia is now often called type 3 diabetes or insulin resistance of the brain. Insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes are closely linked with dementia. Most dementia patients have impaired glucose metabolism, resulting in their brain starving without energy. If a dementia patient can't get energy from carbohydrates and he or she keeps eating high amounts of carbohydrates that break down into glucose, there are no chances of the patient getting better. The disease can only get worse. And what happens if you remove the foods that are high in sugar or break down into sugar after you eat them? High carbohydrate foods such as pasta, bread, potatoes, and rice. Alzheimer's disease patients have instant improvements in their brain function. There are cases of people who lost the ability to move around and talk and gained it back by simply improving their diet, getting rid of the sugar and starch, and switching to a higher fat diet. There's this myth that our primary source of fuel must be glucose. We now have a lot of evidence that using glucose as our primary source of fuel creates diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and dementia. High blood glucose and insulin are causative factors in these diseases, and a high carbohydrate diet and frequent eating are what causes high blood glucose and insulin resistance. Luckily, there is an alternative source of fuel our bodies can run on, the fuel called ketones. Ketones are a superior type of fuel that produces more energy and less free radicals. Ketones even act as antioxidants in the brain. Ketones are neuroprotective. Many people are scared of this word, ketones or ketosis, and have some wrong associations with fat being unhealthy and ketones causing ketoacidosis, which is this rare condition happening in type 1 diabetics when they have extremely high levels of ketones and glucose at the same time. Nutritional ketosis is a natural state for humans, and it is absolutely safe. When you're in ketosis, you have optimal blood ketone and glucose levels, and you cannot get ketoacidosis. In fact, nutritional ketosis that is achieved through the restriction of dietary carbohydrates and increased intake of dietary fat is so beneficial that it was shown to be effective in preventing and reversing several health conditions, including type 2 diabetes, epilepsy, some types of cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and even heart disease, which fat supposedly causes. Fat raises LDL cholesterol, but LDL is not as bad as we thought. There are different types of LDL, and the one type that we should be worried about is a very small LDL that is caused by excess sugar and carbs. We have more evidence now that high glucose and insulin cause heart disease. When following a ketogenic diet, you overcome this impaired glucose metabolism that is involved in most common chronic health conditions. You also reduce inflammation, insulin resistance, and lose body fat. These changes are very beneficial when trying to prevent or reverse diseases such as dementia. We have evidence of a regular high-carb diet causing diseases and a low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet reversing these diseases. So if it reverses them, it's a great idea to also use it for prevention of conditions such as dementia. Of course, there's not only the diet that is important in cognitive decline and dementia prevention. Viral infections, heavy metal toxicity, hormonal imbalances, lack of physical activity, lack of sleep, and too much stress all play part in dementia. Each dementia case is unique, and it requires a personalized treatment. Now, let's look into some research papers looking into dementia prevention with your lifestyle. So some of the studies are about dementia prevention and some about the treatment. The ketogenic diet as a potential treatment and a prevention strategy for Alzheimer's disease. The prevalence of Alzheimer's disease, a chronic neurodegenerative condition, is increasing, as is the need for effective treatments and preventions. The underlying pathology of Alzheimer's is not yet fully understood, so existing research has focused on understanding the prominent features of the disease. These include amyloid plaques, which accumulate in the brains of those with Alzheimer's disease, impaired glucose metabolism, and neuronal cell death. Emerging evidence suggests that a low-carbohydrate, high-fat ketogenic diet may help to mitigate the damage associated with these pathologies. The ketogenic diet could alleviate the effects of impaired glucose metabolism by providing ketones as a supplementary energy source. In addition, this diet may help to reduce the accumulation of amyloid plaques while reversing amyloid beta toxicity. Research has begun to identify early underlying mechanisms in Alzheimer's disease that could be targeted by new prevention strategies. Glycation of the ApoE proteins leads to impaired transportation of important lipids, including cholesterol, to the brain, resulting in lipid deficiencies that could explain progression to the later pathologies of the disease. So the researchers see that the ketogenic diet could be an effective treatment and prevention for Alzheimer's disease. Let me know in the comments below if you have never been told by your doctor that you could potentially prevent Alzheimer's disease by simply eating less carbs and more fat. I noticed the medicine field is focused on drug development, and no one actually looks for ways to prevent or reverse dementia with lifestyle changes. Then the next research paper, Ketogenic Diet for the Treatment and Prevention of Dementia, a review. Several preclinical studies have confirmed a benefit of ketosis on cognition and systemic inflammation. Given the renewed emphasis on neuroinflammation as a pathogenic contributor to cognitive decline and the decreased systemic inflammation observed with the ketogenic diet, it is plausible that this diet may delay, ameliorate, or prevent progression of cognitive decline. Several small human studies have shown benefit on cognition in dementia with a ketogenic diet intervention. Again, we see that the ketogenic diet is really promising. Then the next paper, Ketogenic Diet in Alzheimer's Disease. The ketogenic diet is a very high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet, which has a fasting-like effect, bringing the body into a state of ketosis. The presence of ketone bodies has a neuroprotective impact on aging brain cells. Moreover, their production may enhance mitochondrial function, reduce the expression of inflammatory and apoptotic mediators. Apoptosis is programmed cell death, so ketones prevent brain cells from dying. It has gained interest as a potential therapy for neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's disease. So we see that finally there's some interest in using this diet as a treatment for Alzheimer's disease. Maybe it's not a type of treatment that everyone expected. It's not in the form of a pill. But if it works, why not use it? Then next study, a randomized crossover trial of a modified ketogenic diet in Alzheimer's disease. This is the first randomized trial to investigate the impact of a ketogenic diet in patients with uniform diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. High rates of retention, adherence, and safety appear to be achievable in applying a 12-week modified ketogenic diet to Alzheimer's disease patients. Compared with a usual diet, supplemented with low-fat healthy eating guidelines, patients on the ketogenic diet improved in daily function and quality of life, two factors of great importance to people living with dementia. Now we see a direct comparison of a diet that everyone believes is a healthy, balanced diet, which is a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet. And it was compared with the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet that is seen as unhealthy. And the study shows that a diet higher in fat was significantly more beneficial in dementia patients. Then another study of the ketogenic agent AC1202 in mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled multi-center trial. This ketogenic agent is a supplement that contains MCTs from coconut oil. AC1202 rapidly elevated serum ketone bodies in Alzheimer's disease patients and resulted in significant differences in Alzheimer's disease assessment and cognitive subscale scores compared to the placebo group. Effects were mostly notable in ApoE4 negative subjects who were dosage compliant. So this high-quality study found that taking a coconut oil supplement that is high in medium-chain triglycerides produced ketones and resulted in significant improvements in Alzheimer's disease patients. The ketogenic diet makes you have way more ketones than taking a supplement. I see a huge potential for using this diet for prevention and treatment of dementia, together with other lifestyle changes. And there's one scientist who's the absolute leader in Alzheimer's disease research, Dr. Dale Bredesen, the author of the book The End of Alzheimer's. He's successfully treating Alzheimer's disease patients using a ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, and a combination of other supplements and lifestyle changes. I'm very familiar with his protocols, and I use the same holistic health methods with my health coaching clients. So, as we can see, there's plenty of evidence to suggest that dementia can be prevented with your lifestyle. We simply have to change our understanding of what is a healthy diet. Instead of avoiding fat, we have to avoid sugar and starches. That doesn't mean that we have to avoid all carbohydrates. Certainly not. Someone who wants to be healthy and prevent dementia should consume plenty of non-starchy vegetables, berries, nuts, seeds, some wild fish, organic eggs, organic grass-fed meat, extra virgin coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, and many other natural whole foods. And the most importantly, avoid foods that cause dementia, foods that are high in sugar, starch, artificial sweeteners, inflammatory vegetable oils, poor quality animal products, and other types of junk food. In summary, eat clean, natural whole foods. Avoid sugar, starch, and junk food, and you will have way better chances of preventing cognitive decline and dementia. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps my videos to get shown to more people. And also, feel free to support my YouTube channel by buying me a coffee or signing up for my Patreon. I also coach people online, so if you're worried about dementia, maybe you're starting to experience cognitive decline symptoms, I can help to optimize your lifestyle. Link to my coaching programs and the references can be found in the description of my video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.